at radiovermont.com.
The energy.
So this guy in the fantasy baseball chat is just ripping me. He's calling me names for how I handled my team. Buddy, you had 20 weeks for your own team to play better. Don't be mad at me.
The passion.
Mac Jones is fighting not just for his Patriots job, but he very well may be fighting for his NFL future.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
For the Red Sox, it can't always be about next year. It can't always be about down the road. Where's the team that battles for now?
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Full show. All 90 minutes. We got a lot of stuff going on today. Buster Olney's going to stop by, talk MLB playoffs with us, talk a little Red Sox as well. Buster will be with us at about 5:45. Some stuff on Kraft and Belichick, some stuff on Mac Jones. Danny and I got a couple oddball things that I want to get to as well. So you can get in on the text line 802-585-3026. That's 802-585-3026. Danny, right to it. Let's go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts in the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber, Rouse's Point, New York as well. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. Here's my PSA to you all. We're going to have a little fun today, right? I got all the Patriots consternation that you want, and Buster, I promise you, we are going to have a little bit of fun today. Danny, do you know what I did last night?
No, I don't.
I found my high school yearbook.
Oh, boy.
From senior year. And I have seen a yearbook from that year semi-recently. I was with a buddy recently, like over a holiday when I was back home. So, and like he showed me his yearbooks. Like we went through and like looked at pictures and saw that stuff. So I have seen a yearbook recently. I have not seen my yearbook particularly recently, and I've had it packed away. And over the weekend, Jess grabbed her senior year yearbook, and we were reading it, looking at photos of her and things like that. So I was like, okay, I'm inspired now to grab mine. So I had to wrestle through some things and finally figure out where exactly it was. I pulled out my senior year yearbook, and I haven't looked at it, I don't think, since Jess and I looked at it when we first got together. So we're talking like 9 years ago at this point. I haven't seen my senior year yearbook in a long time. And I go through it, and I'm reading all of the comments that people have written, right? And some people write really deep and meaningful things. Some people wrote really stupid things. Some people said, hey, we'll talk over the summer, and we never did. The usual yearbook stuff. But I get to this one, and Danny, I'm going to read this for you. This is from my high school girlfriend, okay? I will not give you her name, and I will tell you some of the circumstances around everything later. This girl was my girlfriend in high school. It is not Jess. So it was my girlfriend in high school. And she writes, Danny, and I need you to be thinking about this critically. It's not very long, okay? She writes, hey there, stud muffin. That's how it's addressed. Hey there, stud muffin. It's been one hell of a year. Hope you had as much fun as I did. We had some great times. Thank you so much for making this a fantastic year. Hopefully the summer will be just as good. Good luck with college. Be sure to stay in touch. Love, her name. When you hear that, do I need to read it again, first and foremost?
I think you should for the new audience every 5 seconds.
Okay. Hey there, stud muffin. It's been one hell of a year. Hope you had as much fun as I did. We had some great times. Thank you so much for making this a fantastic year. Hopefully the summer will be just as good. Good luck with college. Be sure to stay in touch, ! Love, then her name. If you hear that, something doesn't add up to me. Can you figure out what exactly it is? When you hear that, what comes to your mind, Danny? What questions do you have?
She says, have a good summer, like you're not going to see her again?
Yes. Would you know that we were together at that point?
No, other than the stud muffin, I wouldn't have assumed you're dating.
Okay. That is,
unless everybody at your high school called each other stud muffin.
That is, to me, the world's most awkward yearbook post. In the history of the planet, it has to be the world's most awkward yearbook post. And I don't remember every bit of information around what was going on, but to my knowledge, here's what happened. Like here's the background information that you need to know. I do not believe we're together at this point. Okay, I do not believe that her and I were together at this point. I think she's calling me stud muffin because she knows it's awkward to be writing in my yearbook at the time, and she's trying to make it a little easier on herself and lighten the mood. That's what I think. And the love at the end, I think that was something she probably wrote for everybody. So I don't think that really means a whole lot. But let's back it up here. Let me tell you. Let's have a little story time. So, again, these are the details as I remember them, because now this is jogging my memory. We got together. My school's really big. We've talked about that. I never really met her before. I didn't know who she was until right before senior year started, right? So we end up meeting at someone's something, barbecue, movie night, whatever. So we end up meeting right before senior year. We kind of got together right before school started that year. So call it September. We were together through the whole school year. Once about May hit, as I recall, she started getting very flirty with one of my good friends, with one of my high school basketball teammates, a guy who I had not been best friends with for 10 years, but he had become very quickly my best friend on the team. And I would say for junior and senior year, since we were the same age, we were pretty tight. So she started getting very, very flirty with him, and it became very awkward because he was a good friend of mine. They were in a bunch of classes together, so they were seeing each other all the time. It was very clear what was going on. They were going to college together at the same school. I was not going to that college. So there was a really weird dynamic at play. I believe, and I still don't know the entirety of the answer, but I believe that they were doing some shady things behind my back. And I got told a few things like, hey, they're hanging out. Hey, they're getting ice cream. Hey, they're at this. I remember senior skip day, which I couldn't do because I had a baseball game that day. I was told that they were hanging out together on senior skip day. I once did a drive by somebody's house, and she was there at his house, or he was there at her house or something. Nonetheless, so something shady was going on. So I believe that we broke up, and then this yearbook post happened. Like in the interim while we're broken up, and she's, I don't even know, exploring things with him, talking with him, whatever. But it's still really awkward because this guy had been my friend, and we were still in some classes together too. And I was in classes with her. It was just your classic high school drama. And then, man, I don't remember how it happened, but I remember taking her back, which was clearly an idiot thing to do. She was trouble from the start, and I hadn't quite realized it. But so I end up taking her back, and we're together in the summer, and it's still weird, right? Like I still know that they had this thing. She's still inviting him over to things we do it like at her house, like group settings, like coming over for barbecues and movie nights, etc. He's still around, and it's really, really weird. And so like I ended my friendship with him, but even though I had to see him a bunch all that summer, and I still know they were going to school together, and I'm like, well, he's just waiting for his chance to get to college and buy time to be with her. So we go through the summer, and I remember, because this is how I am, right? Like I can be sappy, I can be emotional, and I like things we've talked about. I like things to end on good terms. I did not want that yearbook post in my yearbook forever. Like I did not want that to be the memory of her and I in that yearbook, especially as we had gotten back together. So I either asked her to write in my yearbook again when we were together something more meaningful, or she just said like, hey, let me write in your yearbook. My guess is it was me who asked her. So she did. She probably wrote a half page, a full page, something much nicer, something more meaningful. Somewhere down the line, whether it was with my next girlfriend or when I got with Jess and I pulled out the yearbook again, I ripped that page out. There's very clearly a yearbook page missing from my yearbook, and I got rid of that, right? It's like I threw that out. So the only thing that's left now is this post that I stumbled on yesterday. And then we go to college, and she's with this guy who's my friend, and like around this guy who's my friend. And we lasted a month, I think, maybe a month and a half. Get to college middle of August, end of August. We broke up at the beginning of October. And I think she ended up cheating on me with a different guy. So like, I think this guy who I thought she cheated on me with in high school, I think he ended up getting his heart broken too, just like I had gotten dumped because like he thought when she got rid of me, it was going to be his turn, and she ended up two-timing him and going with somebody else. Like I said, real bad news. You know, the kicker in all of this, Danny, as I remember, and this came to me too. She went to a college that was about, I don't know, maybe 2 hours from where I went, 2 hours from Oswego. I wouldn't say it was easy to get to. I didn't have a car that year. I don't know that it was easy to get to, but I remember going to visit her around her birthday, right? Sometime in early October around her birthday. And I spent like every dollar I had to get there, right? Every dollar freshman year Brady had in the fall semester, I spent to go visit her. And I remember it required me taking a bus from Oswego to Syracuse, which was free. That was a free bus. And then taking a cab, which ended up costing a significant amount of money, actually, to get to another college to go stay with a friend who went to that college. And then getting up at 5 a.m. the next day and taking a cab to the Syracuse bus station and getting on a bus filled with Amish people to go to where her college was. And I get there, it's a long weekend. It's like around like Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Day weekend. And so I don't know, I get there on Friday. I'm going to stay till Monday, something like that. And it's her birthday. And we go through the weekend. We're hanging out. I took her to a nice dinner because it was her birthday. I remember we went bowling or something like that too, which was like a fun, cheap thing to do at that point, aside from the nice dinner. And then we went to like one of those like shows on campus that, you know, comedy guy comes in or whatever, comedian comes in. And then it's like Monday and I'm getting ready to leave. And she had something, some kind of club meeting, some kind of class. I didn't have school, but she did, something like that. And her roommate tells me, by the way, like, hey, it's nice to meet you. You seem like a nice guy. You're getting two-timed here. So the roommate turns out to be a great mole and tells me what's going on. So then when she comes back, we end up breaking up again. We end up breaking up for good. But we go through she lets me spend every dollar I have to get there, the trouble of someone else to host me on the bus with the Amish people, me stay for 4 days and just to dump me. Like, what a heartless person you have to be to just, if you're going to dump me, then dump me beforehand. If you're cheating on me, then just dump me on the phone. I don't care, but don't make me spend every dollar I have to go visit you. And I had forgotten like a lot of this. And that post, the world's most awkward yearbook post, Danny, triggered all of this for me. Again, I have some of the details, I'm sure a little bit fuzzy, but that's the story.
That's fascinating stuff.
I mean, we could talk about Belichick and Kraft a little bit more if you wanted to, but I was going to say,
can you relate it to this story somehow?
We broke up, and they might break up too.
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, they lasted significantly longer than we did. That's for sure. No matter how it ends, but yes. So the hey there, what an awkward post. Again, hey there, stud muffin would imply we're together. The love at the end might imply we're together. The good luck with college, be sure to stay in touch. At that point, we had dated for like 8 months, 9 months or whatever. And to give me the good luck with college, be sure to stay in touch. That's like the kid you sat next to in homeroom and like never spoke to. That's what you say to that kid who you know you're not going to stay in touch with. And then again, with the whole, again, me going out to visit and getting dumped, like what a classless person. Again, I ended up better, and I get, maybe she did too, but damn, I'm glad you found it interesting, Danny, because I've been waiting to tell you that all day. I wouldn't let you in on what I wanted to talk about all day, except for right before the show when I was like, I read my old yearbook. I want to tell you about it.
I mean, you had me intrigued when you said you have something to talk about, but I don't know many of your high school stories. This is an interesting one.
Text says, this is good stuff. She wasn't planning on hanging out with you the minute the semester ended. I don't know if that means the high school semester or whatever. I remember this one.
Do you think she ever actually dated you, or was just like cheating on you the entire time she knew you?
No, we definitely dated. I don't think she cheated on me until maybe with the guy who had been my friend in high school. And again, I don't know officially, because like I ended the friendship with him, and then with her, I never really pushed it because I don't think I wanted to know exactly what happened. I do know they kissed. I got told they kissed, and I remember confronting him and I remember going to see them at a lacrosse game or something, because I didn't go to lacrosse games, but they were at a lacrosse game, and I knew that, and I heard they had kissed, and I remember going to them and at least letting them knew that I knew, just to make it awkward. And people thought we were going to fight, me and the guy. And so,
and more importantly, do you stalk her on social media now to find out what she's up to?
Absolutely not. Could not care less. Could not care
Interesting.
less. Text says, sounds like what you went through was a country song. It was, again, it's irrelevant now, 15 years ago at this point, but this post triggered a lot of the stuff for me where I'm like, what a weird post. And then I remembered that she had written something else, and then I obviously ripped it out because it's very clear you could see that something has been ripped out of this yearbook, and that's obviously what it was. So it's good stuff. I got to get to Buster. So we got more fun planned, I promise you, that don't involve my high school yearbook stories, but that was pretty good, I thought. So it was fun to go through the yearbook and see what was there, and then again see that post, which gave us 15 minutes of content. So I'm here for it. Right now it's 5:46. I want to rein the show back in and talk about sports. Let's go out to the phone line and talk with our guy Buster Olney. Buster Olney from ESPN, our ESPN MLB insider, is with us every single Thursday at this time. We are 3/4 of the way to the LCS being set. Buster, how are you?
I'm doing great, getting fired up. We got this big game, Braves and Phillies tonight. It should be a lot of fun.
Should be a lot of fun. You've been doing baseball tonight this week. Can I make a request?
Okay.
Can we get back the cartoonish hitter with the giant bat who hits the baseball and the baseball makes the face where he's screaming whenever we talk about a home run?
I'll ask. I don't know if the people who are working tonight have that power, but maybe we'll put the wheels in motion.
I stayed up. Seriously, I was up until midnight every night as a kid watching Baseball Tonight. There was no better baseball show when I was growing up than Baseball Tonight every night. And that was before MLB TV and MLB Network and things like that. And you had to watch all the highlights only on Baseball Tonight. And it was great.
Yeah. And of course, part of that show was my old friend, Peter Gammon.
Yeah.
Talk to all the time, and he, such a unique presence and so much insight and talking with players. And you're right, it was kind of a one-stop shop. But as we are with the broadcast of all 30 teams now, we get a lot more access to you too.
True story. I met Carl Ravitch when I was like 8 years old at the Jim Valvano celebrity golf tournament in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Very nice. Yeah, he was on my podcast today, and Carl's someone who I met back in 1995 when he was just starting at ESPN, and I was the beat writer at the Baltimore Sun. Wow.
Well, I love that you're on Baseball Tonight this week. I've enjoyed watching and enjoy everybody talking about the playoffs. Let me ask you a couple of Red Sox questions first here. Actually, let me ask you one generic question. It's interesting here. We've talked a lot this week about Bill Belichick, right? And what's happened to the Patriots, and is he behind the times, and how do you deserve to go out and things like that. I bet in baseball this happens more with players coming kind of to the end of their career. Do you ever remember a baseball manager kind of in this same situation that Belichick is in?
Oh, totally. Tony La Russa.
Yes.
In recent years with the White Sox. Like, he was brought back by Jerry Reinsdorf because Jerry always had regretted letting him go back in the 80s. And La Russa went on to have tremendous success, and La Russa struggled. In the 2 years, they made the playoffs 1 year, but then the players, you heard complaining. And I say this, and I obviously, being a New Englander, I'm paying attention to Belichick and what's going on there. And I'll tell you flat out, like, I have not talked to any sources in the NFL. I don't have inside knowledge. But as I've watched it play out, my question is, how much would Belichick, the coach, how much patience would that person have for Belichick in the person who's performing, and before he were to cut base, and how much would Belichick, the coach, have patience for a player who was hanging around to hit a milestone? Like, the perception is that Belichick is sticking around because he wants to set this record for wins by a coach, and and I know the answer to it. He wouldn't put up with a player who wasn't performing. He would be very unemotional, unsentimental, and he'd move on. And he certainly wouldn't put up with the idea of keeping a player around just to hit a milestone, a personal milestone. with Belichick, part of his greatness as a coach is he's always focused on team results. That's allowed him to be very flexible in his handling of the roster. And so I'm wondering at some point, will the owner of the Patriots, Robert Kraft, apply the same standard that Belichick has applied for his team all these years?
See what happens. It certainly is a very tenuous situation for sure. And the Pats are 1-4 going into week 6. We're talking with Buster Olney, our ESPN MLB insider here. Let's get into baseball. Let me ask you a Red Sox question here. Red Sox fired their infield coach, Carlos Fables, this week. They fired their pitching coach, Dave Bush. Buster, I don't pretend to know if those are great moves or poor moves, especially though with Bush. I look at it. Chris Martin had a great year in the bullpen. Kenley Jansen had a great year in the bullpen, and a lot of the young guys got better. So are we scapegoating Dave Bush and making a move just for the sake of making a move? Because I feel like a lot of it was front office problems in terms of the players they brought in and relied on.
A lot of it depends, and I don't know the answer to this.
Yeah.
Was this a question where, there was a disagreement over which analytics to use? About using advanced information. Is this a case where he was more of a therapist than he was a coach in terms of applying the information? I don't know. I just haven't dug into that question. But, when you come down, toward the end of the year, it's also, I think that like a lot of marriages, I think they're probably that time comes when it's either going to work, you're going to either, evolve, or it's not going to work in the relationship between the team and the coach. And I think that may have been the case with both Dave Bush and Carlos Fables. They've been around for a while. They've been valued by Alex Cora, their manager. And then at some point, what each side wanted didn't necessarily match.
Buster, just kind of a logistics question here, and it's a serious topic that none of us know any of the answers to. But yesterday it was reported that the Red Sox prospect, his name is Brainer Bonacci. He's the 11th ranked prospect for the team. He was sent home from the Arizona Fall League and placed on the restricted list for that joint domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse policy. We don't have any information. I'm just kind of curious, when someone gets put on that list, kind of what happens? What are the logistics on things once someone's been put on the restricted list?
Well, it basically means that they're being put on hold while information is being gathered. The team's gathering information. And a lot of times, and I don't know specifics about this case, but I will tell you, for example, Julio Urias of the Dodgers, when it was in a similar situation, and what it needs to happen is that, there needs to be an investigation from Major League Baseball investigators who they want to talk to the player. But when there's a situation where there's also a police investigation going on at the same time, in almost every circumstance, the player's not going to talk to Major League Baseball until they deal with the police, until the criminal case is resolved, which basically means that the player is stuck in purgatory. The case with Major League Baseball can't advance until the criminal case is resolved, unless the player is willing to speak to Major League Baseball. And let's face it, no lawyer is ever going to advise a client to do that, because all of those statements to Major League Baseball could be used in the criminal case. So that's why a lot of these cases, investigations drag on.
Buster, kind of on that note, it was last week he put out a video. Trevor Bauer, he obviously was on this list a couple of years ago, pitched this past year in Japan. He he stated the facts according to him last week in that social media post. Does he appear any less radioactive now for teams heading into this offseason, or do teams still want to stay away from him, you think?
I would be surprised if he pitches in Major League Baseball again.
Okay. So we will see what happens there, but that is a name to watch in this offseason, but we will see what happens with Bauer, the former Cy Young winner. Buster, on the playoffs here, I got to tell you, as a Mariners fan, what an unlikable ALCS for me. My two worst nightmares here. Rangers, Astros, really?
Yeah, and it's driving you crazy.
Yes.
American League West, two teams in Texas. You get, I love Dusty Baker's wry smile after the Astros beat the Twins yesterday, where he was like, yeah, I get to go up against Bruce Bochy.
Yep.
Going up 74-year-old Dusty Baker against 60-year-old manager Bruce Bochy. The Rangers with that great offense. The Astros, and you and I talked about how it felt like that the Astros were bored with the regular season. Well, now they're fully activated. Now that we're into the postseason, this should be a great series between these two teams, especially with all the experience and all the playoffs history that these guys have. I know you don't want to hear about it as a Mariners fan, though.
That guy Eovaldi who pitched for the Rangers in Game 3 looks pretty good. I kind of like if the Red Sox could have had a guy like that, Buster.
Man, and that when you look back at that decision with 2020 hindsight, because of all, Nate's got a lot of injury history, but when you look at that decision with 2020 hindsight, what a mistake for the Red Sox to let him go. He came off the injured list on September 5th, and with each passing start, he seems to be getting better and better and better. He seems poised for a big month, big playoff series coming up against the Astros. They're going to need it, given the depth of the Astros lineup.
Buster, the Dodgers are a little older, right? Muncy, Freeman in their mid-30s, Mookie now over 30, Kershaw mid-30s, late 30s now pushing it. Do you think they're at an organizational crossroads, and is Dave Roberts going to survive this?
Yeah, I think Dave Roberts is. I mean, look, we all talked about going into the postseason. The question was about the Dodgers. Do they have enough starting pitching to survive through multiple rounds in October, because they lost Tony Gonsolin and Dustin May, and Arias was taken off the field with his domestic violence incident. Walker Buehler never responded. And in the 3 games they played in the postseason, their starting pitchers' numbers, 4 and a third innings, 13 runs allowed. Okay? I know that Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts didn't hit, but it's really hard to overcome that when your starting pitchers are getting hit around that much. So Dave Roberts, I mean, that would just be ridiculous if he were be blamed for this. Think about this. Over the last 3 years, the Dodgers have averaged 106 wins per season in the regular season, and the record in the postseason is 7-12.
Wow.
I do think it probably gives them carte blanche to start to, turn over the roster a little bit. And the first, the big question hovering over the team as the season ends for them, will Clayton Kershaw be back? At age 35, he's had elbow issues in the past. He's had back issues. He's had hip issues. And this year it's the shoulder. And you saw him in that start against the Diamondbacks. He didn't have much. The future Hall of Famer, people wonder, and I've asked the question of friends, a lot of people think that may have been the end of his career, that really ugly 1/3 of an inning, 6 runs allowed outing against the Diamondbacks, which would be a shame. But, maybe that makes the Diamondbacks go all in more on Shohei Ohtani.
Buster, I will get you out of here on this. I asked you this question last week. I will ask you it again now based on what we've seen over the last 7 days. More feared playoff hitter, Yordan Alvarez, Bryce Harper?
Boy. I think the best hitter, that is a great question. The best hitter in baseball right now is Yordan Alvarez.
Yep.
He has incredible power. He has plate discipline. He can hit the ball to all fields, and he has a really simple swing. Bryce Harper doesn't have a simple swing. He's got a violent swing. We've seen times in his career when he goes into these funks, when he sort of opens up a little bit too quickly in his mechanics. Right now, in this moment, I think he's more feared because the violent swing for him is working. He seems wholly focused. And tonight, when Spencer Strider's on the mound, that has to be the guy that the Braves focus on, because Harper right now, it seems like he's in an absolute zone with the way he's swinging the bat.
Buster, are you going to be anywhere on site for the LCS, or going to be studio bound, or what?
Next week, I'll be in Texas. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, travel safe. We'll catch up with you in 7 days, and we look forward to doing so. Enjoy, the part of the LCS that has happened until we talk next Thursday.
All right. That sounds great, Brady. Thank you.
Absolutely. Buster Olney, ESPN MLB Insider. A lot to digest from Buster, both on the national front and on the Red Sox front. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to step aside. We're going to get the national news update. We'll come back. We'll recap Buster. I got some thoughts on non-Red Sox baseball stories. And then I also do want to kind of get into what Buster had to say about some of the other stories involving kind of the seedier side of the offseason, the Trevor Bauer story, the Red Sox prospect story. We'll talk a little bit about that. And something else just came to me as I wrap up my high school yearbook story. Another piece of info, critical info, just came to me in my memory. I'll tell you what that was next on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com.
This is WDEV, Vermont's news station, owned and operated by the Radio Vermont Group. From the top of Sugarbush at 96.1 FM, WDEV Warren and Waitsfield. In Barrie at 96.5. In Montpelier at 98.3. Along with our founding station, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury, Montpelier. Streaming at WDEVradio.com. 92 years of serving Vermont. The friendly pioneer, WDEV.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Monica Ricks. Attacks between Israel and Hamas escalated again today ahead of an expected ground invasion in Gaza. This comes as Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with survivors of attacks in Israel, including the massacre at a music festival. CBS's Holly Williams visited the site today.
This place is indescribably eerie. Young people came here for a party, for a celebration, and then they were slaughtered. And here you can still see their toiletries, their toothbrush, their clothing, even their food. And all the while, we can hear Israeli military helicopters, Israeli airstrikes, and even Israeli artillery fire. We're about 3 miles here from the border with the Gaza Strip.
The attacks also worsening the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Sean Carroll's with aid organization ANERA.
The water supply, the electricity supply has been cut out. The situation is very dire. I'm not sure people can comprehend just how bad it is.
2,700 people have died on both sides, including 27 Americans. 14 are still missing. Steve Scalise is hustling on the House floor now for speaker votes. Here's CBS's Natalie Brandt.
House Republicans pick for Speaker Steve Scalise is meeting with members and trying to firm up the support he'll need to get elected on the House floor.
We get everybody in a room together, not individual meetings. I'm not cutting any deals. I want to meet in front of all of our members, answer every question, and just continue to work through to unite and bring our conference together.
He's still about 100 votes short. Federal prosecutors have amended an indictment against New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez.
The indictment accuses Menendez of taking a series of acts along with his wife and business associate from 2018 to 2022 on behalf of Egypt and Egyptian military and intelligence officials. Menendez and his wife have already pleaded not guilty to charges that allege they accepted bribes of cash, gold bars, and a luxury car. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
Social Security benefits are getting a boost in 2024 as part of an annual cost of living adjustment. Millions of recipients are set to get about $60 extra a month. Strong storms, including a possible tornado, left a path of destruction today in Florida from Tampa to the Panhandle. This guy's in Dunedin.
Very surprised. I was like, especially when you see that turned over truck over there, I was surprised all the damage that there was.
No one was hurt.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up.
A founding member of the Isley brothers, Rudolph Isley, has died at 84. The cause of death has not been released. This is CBS News.
You need to hire? Indeed is with you every step of the way, helping you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
The 18th annual Big Dog Daddy Hearing Clearance Sale is going strong at Lamoille Valley Chevy. Tell them, bro. Folks, take it from me that you can tune out all the noises about strikes and supply shortages. Right now at Lamoille Valley Chevy, our lot is full as it has ever been over the last 4 years, with over 200 new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs available. And with the new models incoming, it is time for us to sell down our inventory now, and that means you can save money with deals like this. Right now, current Chevy owners can take up to $10,000 off MSRP on a new in-stock Silverado at Lamoille Valley Chevy. And you shoppers, listen to this. Not only will you find one of the largest selections of new Chevy car, truck, and SUVs at Lamoille Valley Chevrolet, but our lot is also packed with late model, low mileage, pre-owned vehicles, including many that are certified pre-owned and some with a better warranty than a brand new car. Folks, at Lamoille Valley Chevy, we have the inventory, and most of all, we have the desire to make deals and earn your business. So come get an awesome deal at the Big Dog Dining Hearing Clearance Sale happening now at Lamoille Valley Chevy, located just past Stowe and Morrisville in the beautiful town of Hyde Park, Vermont. And remember, at Lamoille Valley Chevy, we know price matters.
Thinking about installing an energy-efficient heat pump? Need heating system maintenance now? New furnace or boiler installation? Home weatherization? An energy audit? 24/7 emergency service? Reliable heating fuel? Or wood pellet delivery? The Energy Co-op of Vermont takes the worry out of heating and cooling your home. Learn more at ecvt.net.
Use less, save more at the Energy Co-op of Vermont.
If you need wood pellets, Guy's Farm and Yard in Morrisville, Williston, Montpelier, and St. Albans has a full line of them. Wood pellets burn efficiently and clean, and with the high cost of fossil fuels, it's a great alternative for heat. There's no mess like there is with firewood, and the efficiency of wood pellets is unmatched. Buy your wood pellets now at Guy's Farm and Yard, Portland Street, Morrisville, Berry Street, Montpelier, Taft Corners, Williston, and Fairfax Road in St. Albans. Online at guysfarmandyard.com.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Buster Olney's interview will be available shortly on our podcast channel on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and WDEVradio.com. Before we get to recapping Buster, I want to give just a quick final thought here on the story I was telling earlier. If you miss any of this, you're going to have to go back to the podcast channel because I can't go over it all again. But bottom line is I went through my high school yearbook yesterday for the first time in like a decade almost, and I came across a very awkward message from my ex-girlfriend, like my high school girlfriend, and that kind of precipitated all of this. So, Danny, let me just put a bow on this. So we broke up in October, early October, and I don't remember the exact timing on this, but I ended up seeing her again very awkwardly like a month later, month and a half later or so, maybe even 2 months later. So what had happened is my best female friend, like my best girlfriend from high school, went to college with me, and we were very, very tight. We were hanging out all the time, and her boyfriend, another one of my friends, went to college with my ex-girlfriend, my high school girlfriend, and my ex-buddy who they had been interested in each other. So it was kind of like those three up there and me and my best girlfriend down here. So the guy who had been my ex-friend, who had been kind of, I thought, two-timing me with my high school girlfriend, he was roommates with my best girlfriend's boyfriend. So everyone's kind of interconnected. So my best girlfriend, was going to go visit her boyfriend on like a Sunday. She just missed him freshman year, not used to being away from each other. So freshman year, misses him, goes up on a Sunday. And it's like, it's certainly past daylight savings time. It might have been past Thanksgiving even and early into December. I think maybe it was. So it's pitch black out, right? It's cold. It's pitch black. There's probably snow on the ground at this point. And I didn't want her to go alone. So I ended up going up there with her. And her boyfriend and my old friend were playing intramural basketball together. And her boyfriend ends up spraining his ankle really badly and ends up having to go to the hospital. And somehow we end up in a situation where where my best girlfriend, her boyfriend, they have to go in the ambulance. My ex-buddy, who I no longer like, he goes in the ambulance too. So the only two people who are left are me and my ex-girlfriend. Why she was at the game, I don't know exactly. Why she cared to go to the hospital, I don't know exactly. But it ends up being that I had to drive her to the hospital. And it was one of the most awkward moments of my life. I tried to tough guy it out. I was like, you don't matter to me, whatever.
Let's blast the radio.
I'm blaring music. About like two-timing women just so she gets the point, like angry music, like about like, men who've been wronged by women. I wanted to make sure she knew, like, it didn't bother me, but it really did. Like it was awkward as hell. And then we ended up having to wait outside the emergency room, or not emergency room, wherever we get seen. Urgent care. It's not the hospital. Maybe urgent care is the better spot. Or maybe we went to urgent care and they sent him to the hospital. I don't remember, but he ended up fine. We ended up getting back at like 2 a.m. that day. And then from that point, I don't know that I ever really saw my ex-girlfriend again. I may have come across her at some point, but we really didn't run in the same circles after high school. So I don't know that I ever would have seen her again. But that's the finality to that story. So there you go, Davey. I hope you appreciated it because it was fun to look at the yearbook. And there were other funny things written. There were other fun stories written. There was a girl who I was friends with, right? Like we never dated, never liked each other, but we were friendly. And her dad was really big in the high school, like really big in the baseball community, right? Like really big in the high school community, really big in the town league community, always helped with the fields, was on the board, knew my mom, who was also on the board, things like that. So I knew him well. He had a son who was 2 years older than me, and his son that was 2 years younger than me. So he had these 2 baseball player kids that were around me. Well, his daughter was in my grade, and so she was always at the field, so I was always seeing her. And again, we were friends, nothing more than that. But in 9th grade, apparently, and I had forgotten this, in 9th grade, we were at some dance together. I don't know what it was, homecoming. We had a couple other dances that in 9th grade I might have gone to. I kind of stopped going to dances as I got older because I realized they were lame. But the 9th grade, I went to this dance. And we ended up dancing together because neither one of us had a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or in my case, boyfriend in her case. And we were friendly and we knew each other. And so whatever. So we slow danced together. And again, very innocent, very awkward, very 9th grade-ish, but she was very much a daddy's little girl. And he was very much the intimidating father, like you would see like on a sitcom, right? Like, don't date my daughter kind of guy. So I don't know when this was, but he certainly knew about it and he certainly remembered it. And even though I was no threat, we go to the baseball banquet that year, the high school baseball banquet. And that's in June after the season's over. He's got a kid who is a junior. I've got a kid, and I'm a freshman. And then he's got another kid who's in 8th grade or 7th grade who's not in the high school program yet. But somehow, so he's at the banquet because of his other kid. Somehow he speaks at the banquet. I don't remember why, some kind of maybe a booster club parent thing, but he makes a mention of like, I love everybody in this program. It's been great to watch you guys develop. Like, all except Farkas, keep your hands off my daughter. Like, he mentioned this in front of everybody at the banquet, and he loved me, right? Like, he really liked.
Did you hide under the table, or?
Well, not everybody knew this story because, like, it would have taken time to say, like, he danced with my daughter meaninglessly 6 months earlier at homecoming or whatever this was. But she had written in my yearbook, like, I'll never forget what my dad did after our 9th grade dance. Ha, 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 ha. And then we actually ended up coaching college baseball together. Like, I was the assistant pitching coach and he was like the recruiting coordinator. And he was obviously, I was 23 or whatever. He was his 50s, but he was kind of doing it just because he liked being around baseball. And he was doing it for not a lot of money. So, he and I had been good friends for a long time. And that was one of the things in my high school yearbook that I had totally forgotten about, was this story about having danced with her and then him singling me out at the high school baseball banquet.
But she didn't write Stud Muffin.
She did not write Stud Muffin. She just wrote "Hey Brady" or
That's
something.
It's going to be the
like
title
that.
of today's podcast.
More info needed, probably for the people listening on the podcast feed. But yeah, it was going down the memory. And then I realized that my best girlfriend, who I'd gone to, she didn't even write my yearbook. Like, whether I had not given it to her, I didn't see her, whatever. She's not even in my yearbook from a writing perspective. Maybe is it weird to go if I go to her next time I see her when I'm home and I say, hey, here's my high school yearbook from 15 years ago. Could you write a note in it? Would that be weird?
Probably a little bit. Yeah.
All right. So I'll just have to live with the fact that we're friends.
You could say sign this piece of paper and stick it in the yearbook. But...
Yeah, I could do something like that. But I was like, hey, like wow, like where is she? Like, she's not in here. And I was like, oh, like, well, obviously we were friends then. I just didn't see her, give it to her, whatever.
Can't leave the past in the past, can you?
Well, she's not really in my past because she's still my friend.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
Like I have probably have 7 friends like from high school that like I would say there's 4 that I'm really in touch with. There's probably another like 3 or 4 peripherally, like maybe a year younger than me that I talked to. Like I was in a guy's wedding who was a year younger than me because he ended up going to Oswego. Also, we played baseball together. So we had like an additional 3 years together before I graduated college to become friends. So like I was in, so like, yeah, I'll talk to him still. Interestingly enough, my guy, Kevin, over at U32 High School, who was the head football coach at U32, Danny, he went to my high school also. He's 3 years older than me, or 4 years older than me. His dad coached me in travel basketball when I was in 8th grade. So when I got introduced to him, I was like, we're name dropping all these guys like from back in the day, guys that like I looked up to that were on his football teams, on his basketball teams and things like that. Like guys that I was going to watch games when I was in 8th, 9th grade and he's playing. And, my mom recently had like an old Shen basketball yearbook that I wasn't even in. And there he is in it. I sent him a picture of it on Twitter. I'm like, here you go. Like, here's a memory for you from 2004 or whatever. So hilarious the way some of these things are connected. So there you go. 802-585 30-26. Yeah, the texter sends me something that
I don't know if we can say that.
We definitely can't say that on the air. We definitely appreciate the text. Glad you're invested in this story. Definitely can't say that on the air. All right, let's get into Buster real quick here. Buster said a lot of things. The thing that stuck out to me most is Buster was very, very curt on the idea of Trevor Bauer playing baseball again. And let me just full disclosure here. Buster, I don't think, has ever shut down a question with me like that. Right? He was not mean, right? Absolutely, Buster was not mean. I have never heard him not give an expansive answer. He's always thoughtful. He's always thoughtful with his answers, I should say. He always gives great time on his answers, and he always gives really great thought into his answers. I don't know that he didn't want anything to do with the question, but he was very, very resolute in just saying, I don't think Trevor Bauer is ever going to play baseball again. And that was it. In the majors again. And that was it. And that surprised me. Now, again, I don't know what's true. I am not great at anything where there's legal stuff. I don't like guys who are scumbags. I don't want guys who have been on the restricted list on my team. Bauer put out a video. You can go find it on his social media. Talks about his side of the story, his version of the story, proof of his innocence in the story. And I don't know what's true. I imagine that for somebody, what Bauer put out will compel them to want to sign him. Now, maybe public backlash will still be too strong where somebody won't, but I imagine that what Bauer put out will at least give teams an interest in him. Again, I don't know that he'll play baseball again, but Buster made it sound like, nah, he's done. And I just found it interesting that he shut it down so quickly and so forcefully when I'm not used to Buster doing that. Again, Trevor Bauer, innocent or not, at this point, he just might be radioactive. Like before all of this, now obviously this is much more serious, but people didn't love Trevor Bauer anyways because they thought he was abrasive. They thought he was too much about him in terms of not being a team player and doing his own thing when we talk about training methods and, too analytical and combative with coaches and all of this stuff. So Bauer was not really well liked anyways. This certainly doesn't help. So it seems to me they may blackball him, but I don't know. But Buster was very, very clear, like, we're not going to go there with Bauer. I found that interesting. On that note, yesterday, Red Sox prospect, I'm going to butcher this name. I'll be honest with you, I've never heard of him. Brainier Bonacci played in Double-A this year, or at least got to as high as Double-A this year. He played Single-A and Double-A. He's a 21-year-old infielder, hit 300, 11 homers, 11 home runs in 80 games this year. He's the number 11 prospect for the Red Sox. He was sent home from the Arizona Fall League, and he's been placed on the restricted list for violating the joint domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse policy. We know no more information than that. That is not a place that you want to be, obviously, and that is not a place where I want guys in my system. We talk about the Red Sox beefing up the farm system. We talk about the Red Sox getting younger, getting more athletic. It certainly sounds like this guy is a very good defensive infielder who can hit a little bit. I think he's a switch hitter. He can run a little bit too. Sounds like a good player. We have no idea what's true, but this is not something that we like to hear. All I can do is tell you that. I don't really have an opinion other than if what he's being investigated for, whatever it is true, I want him out. If it's not true, I guess that will come out over the course of an investigation. But this is not the kind of player, this is not the kind of news I want to be getting about my baseball team. And it's just as simple as that. And when and if we learn more, then we could talk about what his future is or isn't with the organization. But for now, this is just a very bad thing for the organization. It's a guy that you're supposed to be excited about, supposed to be excited about the next wave of talent in your organization, who now is unavailable to you and for potentially very serious reasons. And we'll leave it at that because, again, we don't know anymore at this point. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Phillies, Braves tonight. That is game 4 of the NLDS. Bryce Harper hit 2 home runs last night. He's got the most home runs in NLDS history, surpassing Chipper Jones, who has 9 of those. So we've got the game for you with our coverage beginning at 7:30. First pitch is just after 8. It's a rematch of game 1. Ranger Suarez pitches for the Phillies. Spencer Strider pitches in this one for the Braves. I would love to see the Braves win. I want the Braves to win this series anyways. I don't really care at this point, but I just want to see a series go 5 games. Like, I just want to see playoff baseball go into a deep series, right? Like we had sweeps all across the board in the wild card round, non-competitive series. We had 2 sweeps in the LDS, non-competitive. We had the Astros win in 4, and now we may have the Phillies win in 4. I just want to see playoff baseball. The best stories of playoff baseball are series that go 5 games, series that go 7 games. We haven't had that. There hasn't been much drama in these playoffs. Now, yesterday's Phillies-Braves game was electric, and there's the stuff with Harper and Arcia and him staring him down. So there is some sizzle and some spice, but I want to see this series go 5 games. I'd like to see the Braves win this series again. I won't be heartbroken if they don't. They're not my team, but I'd like to see them win. It has been really kind of a dud playoffs. And for me, this is just me personally, I find this so far to be a wholly unlikable LCS. I hate the Astros. I hate the Rangers. They're both in the division with the Mariners. I'm sick of the Astros. They've been in the ALCS 7 consecutive years. The Diamondbacks do nothing for me. And I don't mean to be big market guy. I don't need the Yankees, the Red Sox. No, I want the Red Sox for because I like them. But I don't need Mets, Dodgers. I don't need those teams. Usually I'm all for having small market teams and things. I just like the Denver Nuggets winning the NBA final was fine to me. Florida Panthers being in the Stanley Cup is fine to me. Nashville, it's fine. The Diamondbacks do nothing for me. Okay, Corbin Carroll's great. Zach Gallen's great. Paul Sewald used to be a Mariner. Beyond that, the Diamondbacks are a bunch of unknowns. And yes, this will be their coming out party, and that is great for them.
I just learned Evan Longoria is still playing.
Yes, 38-year-old Evan Longoria just had a birthday the other day. He's the third baseman for the Diamondbacks. Ketel Marte, he's a former Mariner. So, I'll be happy about that too. But, the Diamondbacks do nothing for me. Houston, I'm tired of. Texas, I'm tired of. I'll be rooting for either the Braves or the Phillies to win the whole thing at this point. I'd like it to be the Braves by virtue of the year that they had, winning 104 games. Acuna's going to win the MVP. Olsen's going to finish in the top 4. Strider led the league in strikeouts. It'd be too good a year to go to waste, I think. I don't want to see the 84-win Diamondbacks end up in the World Series. I just don't. I don't have interest in that. I want to see a team that had a great year. I like upsets, but over 162, the Braves proved themselves to be the best. I would prefer, if the 100-win Dodgers and the 101-win Orioles can't get there, I'd like the 104-win Braves to end up being there as well. Tex says, I just turned on the radio. What was discussed that's bad for an organization? Red Sox had a minor leaguer placed on the restricted list and sent home from the Arizona Fall League for violating the joint domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse policy. Is their number 11 prospect, a guy who had reached as high as AA. So if you reach AA, you're really one step away from the majors, right? People think that AAA is one step away from the majors, and it is. But AA, there's plenty of guys that go from AA right to the majors. So we're talking about a kid who likely could have been an answer for the Red Sox at some point soon, and now we have no idea about his future. It's bad for the organization. It's bad for the player. It's bad for any potential victims of this player as well. We don't know any more than that, so all I can say is they're allegations, but it's nothing the Red Sox want to be dealing with in the offseason. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV. The Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick relationship reportedly souring. The latest that you need to know next on DEV.
Waterbury invites you to think local, buy local, and be local by experiencing our many recreational opportunities with something for everyone in your group. You can hike, bike, walk, run, paddle, skate, and stroll, and even swim in Waterbury. Between the Perry Hill Bike Trails, Little River State Park, and Waterbury Reservoir, there's year-round fun for all levels. Get outside and start your next active adventure. Our small businesses and colorful mix of restaurants have everything you need to create an unforgettable experience. Even your dog will have a great time.
Want to know how to save on gas? Get your car checked out by Al Karen and the team at Waterbury Service Center. Cars that are well maintained get better gas mileage, so take your vehicle in for a tune-up to ensure that you're getting maximum fuel efficiency on all your summer adventures. Schedule an appointment now to take care of your annual inspection, get an oil change, and make sure your car is ready for all the road trips, vacations, drives to the mountains, and more. Waterbury Service Center is a full-service auto mechanic conveniently located in downtown Waterbury. Call 802-244-7202 to make an appointment.
Now more than ever, Vermonters are eager to get out and about. And Vermont's outdoor recreation businesses and organizations are here to help. They build and maintain the trails we walk and ride. They grow and sell the local food that keeps us going and make and sell the gear that keeps us strong and safe. The Vermont Community Loan Fund is here to help Vermont's outdoor rec industry with our new Trails Loan Program, supporting outdoor recreation and those who make it possible. Trails offers financing and free business resources to help Vermont's trailblazing outdoor rec community grow stronger and more sustainable, generating jobs and energizing our rural economy. The Vermont Community Loan Fund, for over 30 years, Vermont's nonprofit business lending partner. Learn more about Trails and our other business lending programs at investinvermont.org. That's investinvermont.org.
Here in Vermont, it's now easier than ever to recycle computers, television, batteries, household paints, fluorescent bulbs, and mercury thermostats. Special recycling programs let you drop off these items at participating locations for free, since you can't toss them in the trash. To get details on where and how to recycle special items in your neck of the woods, call 1-855-63-CYCLE. That's 1-855-632-9253 or visit vtrecycle.com.
The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center, powered by Marvin Doors and Windows. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
Hi, this is Kathy. And this is Kate from the Stowe Street Emporium in Waterbury, where the colorful fall season has begun. Autumn florals, gourds, and pumpkins decorate the store with anticipation of colder weather and warm attire. Our amazing assortment of cozy sweaters and plaid jackets will keep you warm during soccer games and foliage walks. Hydrate your skin with Ursa Major skincare products that will soothe and nourish you just in time for cooler temps.
Create your harvest table with our table runners, tablecloths, complimentary decor, and aromatic candles. Our food pantry is stocked with yummy sauces, jams, seasoning blends, and whipped and hot honey that will enhance any feast.
Witch water lanterns, spider lights, gnomes disguised as vampires, and blinking skeleton hats are now on display, spooking our customers along with other haunting Halloween decor.
Fall in love with the Stowe Street Emporium, a shop that is sure to delight. We are open daily Monday to Saturday, 11 to 5, and Sunday, 11 to 3. So see you soon at 23 Stowe Street in historic downtown Waterbury.
WDEV is your home for New England Patriots football. Join us this Sunday as the Patriots take on the Las Vegas Raiders. Pre-game 1 o'clock, kickoff 4:05. Patriots football on WDEV is brought to you by Matt Clark's Northern Basement Systems. For all things basement-y, visit northernbasements.com. And by Quick Lane Tire and Auto Center on Route 15 in Hardwick, your go-to place for routine auto maintenance. And Patriot Transport, affordable transportation for the greater Stowe, Burlington, and Central Vermont regions. New England Patriots football this Sunday at 1 on WDEV AM and FM.
Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. One last baseball thought. Texter says, if the Braves lose, Rob Manfred needs to seriously consider changing up the playoff format. These buys have hurt teams. That's very interesting. That's a real conversation that's happening, right? So the top two teams in each league get a first-round bye. Well, the Orioles lost, so the first-round bye hurt them. It's all the old rest versus rust argument. So Orioles lost, got bounced and swept. Dodgers lost, got bounced and swept. And now the Braves are on the verge of losing as well. So the only team that has gotten the bye that's assured the victory is the Astros. I don't love the idea of a team getting 4 or 5 days off. I do believe that rust is a real thing and it's hard to shake off, but I can't blame the format necessarily, right? You get a chance to set up your pitching. The other teams don't. The Astros last year won the World Series. They got a first round bye and went 11-2 in the playoffs. So it can be done. And teams get a 4 or 5 day break every year at the All-Star break, and they come right back and start rolling again. So I don't think you can blame the format. Again, I do believe that rust is a real thing, but the Astros just won it this way last year, 11-2. Come back after the All-Star break every year, 4 or 5 days off, and just get rolling again. We see in the NFL, teams that get the first round bye, they win the Super Bowl at a much greater rate. Now, it's a more physical game. I understand that, but still, rest versus rust exists in the NFL as well. So I'm not ready to change the entirety of the format. I'm not. So, all right. It's not good for the Patriots. We know that. It's not good for Bill Belichick. We know that. It's really not good, apparently, for Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft. This comes from Jeff Howe of The Athletic. I'm reading some of this here word for word. I'm not going to read, obviously, the entire story. It says, there's a school of thought that suggests Bill Belichick has earned the right to go out on his own accord, that the architect of the greatest dynasty in NFL history can coach in New England as long as he chooses. Kraft doesn't subscribe to that. So we go on later as well. The entire operation needs to improve and fast. This is going to be a gut check type of week for Kraft. You're playing the Raiders, where it's some of his old guys like Josh McDaniels and Jacoby Myers and Tom Brady, who's now in business with the Raiders as well. And then the Patriots take on the Bills and Dolphins, two teams that have owned them. Also says, Kraft likes to remind people he grew up as a Patriots fan during the organization's darkest days, but that doesn't mean he has patience to endure more of them. Kraft has grown frustrated, if not downright angry, over this shortage of success, according to people close to the situation. I think Bill Belichick is in trouble. And I said this, Danny, before you even came on as a producer, right? I said I did not think that Bill Belichick would be on the hot seat this year. I thought he would be on the hot seat next year. Right? I never thought that Bill Belichick would be on the hot seat this year. I also never anticipated it being this bad this year. I kind of thought the Patriots were going to plod along and go 7-10 or go 8-9 and miss the playoffs, but be relevant, right? Like be fringy interesting to the point where Robert Kraft couldn't sit here and say, okay, we're awful. It's time to torpedo the organization and start over. I thought that if they were 7-10, 8-9, that going into next year, that was where Kraft was going to say, okay, the whole organization is on the hot seat. Well, right now at 1-4, we are getting to that a year earlier. Now, if the Patriots rebound and finish 7-10 and play better down the stretch, going 7-10 would involve going 6-6 the rest of the way. So if they do that, maybe it does buy everybody another year of comfort like I thought. But if they're trending for 4-13. They're trending for 5-12. If they hit that, absolutely, I think Robert Kraft could fire Bill Belichick. I do not believe that Bill Belichick has earned the right to go out the way that he wants. I do believe in the romantic nature of ending your career on a high note. I do believe in the romantic nature of a guy walking away under his own terms. I tend to ascribe to that more as a player. If Tom Brady had wanted to play in New England for as long as he wanted to, then I would have thought that then I would have been okay with that, right? I was fine. I knew it might not look great at the end, but if Tom Brady wanted to play in New England, I would have signed him. Bill Belichick didn't. Brady Farkas would have. I would have signed him. I would have let him play as long as he wanted to play. And if that meant that the Patriots went 7-10 with Tom Brady or went 4-13 with Tom Brady, then so be it. I would have let Tom Brady do that. I don't know if that would be right, but I would do that. Bill Belichick, to me, a head coach to me, doesn't get that kind of treatment, right? And Bill Belichick isn't as likable as Tom Brady. And that's probably part of the reason why I think that. And again, I don't know if that's fair, but Bill Belichick doesn't have that relationship with Robert Kraft. Tom Brady did. Robert Kraft was like a father to Tom Brady. Robert Kraft has said that Tom Brady is like a son to him. So I think that relationship would have been Kraft allowing Brady to do what he wanted. Belichick hasn't afforded that same right, hasn't afforded that same relationship. So I do think Bill Belichick is in trouble. I think he's in danger of having the GM title stripped from him, and then maybe a power struggle coming up where Bill Belichick says, I'm either all or nothing. And then Kraft saying, okay, you're nothing. I could see Bill Belichick just getting canned entirely if they go 3-14, 4-13, 5-12 and make no improvement. I could see any of those things, but I am surprised how quickly it's deteriorated. I am not surprised that Robert Kraft feels this way. And I do think Robert Kraft would be willing to take action. I don't think he wants to fire Bill Belichick. I think he would like to see Bill Belichick get past Don Shula. I think he needs, 18 more wins to pass Don Shula for the most wins in NFL history. I think Robert Kraft wants to see that. But I don't think Robert Kraft wants to endure multiple years of bad football. And that's what this has become. This is now back-to-back years of bad football. This is going to be 4 out of 5 since Tom Brady left years without the playoffs. And the only playoff game you have is a 47-17 beatdown at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. So Robert Kraft has been patient. Robert Kraft has given Bill Belichick the chance. He's believed in him. He has ascribed to the trust in Bill theory. Maybe it's just over. I said the other day, I would trade Bill Belichick. That is what I think would be the best for everybody. If Bill Belichick gets traded, he doesn't have to deal with a demotion or a firing. Robert Kraft doesn't have to deal with firing the greatest coach in history. Another team who would want Bill Belichick gets him as the head coach, and the Patriots get something. 5th round pick, 6th round pick, I don't know, 3rd round pick, but the Patriots get something. That I think would be best for everybody. I don't think Robert Kraft wants this, but I do think he'll do it. Robert Kraft is in his 80s. Danny, look up Robert Kraft's age. I think he's like 83. He is too old to want to be dealing with this. So he's too old to want to watch this. Maybe it'd be one thing if he was 43, but I think Robert Kraft is about 82 years old. Okay, 82 years old. So I think he'll do it if he feels like he has to. I think he'll do it if he feels like he has to. 802-585-3026. Text says, do you truly think Kraft can find the nerve to take Belichick off the sidelines, let alone personnel director? I do. Because Robert Kraft doesn't like Bill Belichick like he liked Tom Brady. If he could let Tom Brady go, then he can let Bill Belichick go. Robert Kraft loves Tom Brady. He looks at him like a son. If he can stomach seeing Tom Brady play somewhere else and allowing it to happen and not overriding Bill Belichick on that, then yes, I think he can stomach the nerve to get rid of Bill Belichick. Here is what I think. Here is how I think this could happen, and it happens in a way that would benefit Kraft. Let's just say this. Again, I think Belichick should get traded, but let's say that doesn't happen. Let's say Robert Kraft goes to Bill Belichick and says, Bill, I want you to coach the team, but I only want you to coach the team. I am stripping you of your general manager title. Well, then at that point, it's very possible, and I think likely, that Bill Belichick says screw off, and he wants to leave on his own, and then it becomes a mutual parting of ways, and Robert Kraft doesn't have to fire him, right? Because Bill Belichick says, I don't want to do that. So now Bill's leaving on his own, or it's more mutual, but it's never going to be a firing. Maybe that's what happens. It's possible. But I do think if he had to, I do think he could stomach the nerve. Text says, Belichick deserves respect, but his time is up. Glenn says Bill is gone. I'm not sure they win again. I like the idea of trading him. Yeah, I like the idea of trading him too. Ross says Dan Campbell for Bill Belichick.
Campbell.
It's very interesting you say that, because I was on the Dan Campbell bandwagon when he got hired, right? I was on the Dan Campbell bandwagon when he got hired. And I don't think Dan Campbell is going to be the guy for the Patriots. Dan Campbell's got a pretty good thing in Detroit, and they love him, and he fits that group well. But I have always been good with the idea of somebody who is emotional and is a motivator as a head coach. And Dan Campbell got mocked because the NFL has turned into a bunch of nerds, and I don't mean that meanly. The NFL has turned into a bunch of analytics people that really aren't very human. They're very robotic. Dan Campbell is a human being, and what I've loved about Dan Campbell is he's a motivator. He loves his players, and he tells them he loves his players, and he hurts with his players, and he motivates his players, and he rallies behind his players, and he tells his players they did a good job. And I think part of the reason it works is because the Lions have been they've been rebuilding. They're so young. They have a very collegiate type group. And I think Dan Campbell works for that. I don't know that Dan Campbell would work with a bunch of 36-year-olds. But with a bunch of 23-year-olds, I think he does. With a Jared Goff who needs somebody to put his arm around him and tell him that he's good enough, I think Dan Campbell is great. So I love Dan Campbell as a coach. I think I love motivational guys as a coach. There's a lot of different ways to be successful, right? You could be a great play caller. You could be a great analytics guy. You can also just be a great person that people want to play for. Dan Campbell has coordinators to call some plays. right? If he can get the best effort out of his guys, which he's doing, I think there's a lot of value in that. And I don't know that Belichick is not a good motivator, but he's not out there in front and center like Dan Campbell is. So Campbell got mocked. I loved him from the start. Again,
you get mocked when you say you're going to bite people's kneecaps.
Yeah, but you know what? For a young team, and that's what the Lions are. That's what the Lions were. For a young team who's done a lot of losing, I think Dan Campbell is perfect. He comes in, and he's got this collegiate personality, right? Look, Pete Carroll has the same thing, right? Pete Carroll does it for my Seahawks. When the Seahawks got bad, what happened? The older guys, I think, stopped listening to the message. I think they outgrew the collegiate style message. It became corny to them, right? Richard Sherman, as a 6th round or 5th round draft pick with a chip on his shoulder, loved it his first year. When Richard Sherman got paid and became 28, I don't think he loved it. When Russell Wilson was an undersized quarterback 3rd round draft pick, I think he loved it. When he became a $100 million quarterback, I think he outgrew it. Why are the Seahawks a little better now? Because it's the same dynamic. They're very young, and they got Geno, who's a cast-off who could appreciate a little love in the Dan Campbell way. So I don't know how these guys would work with Tom Brady or with the Patriots in their situation, but I love a guy like that. You know what? If it gets this bad for the Patriots, where they do want to start over, guess what? They're going to become very young, and they're going to become very collegiate. And then maybe a guy like Dan Campbell will work perfectly for them. But when it was Devin McCourty and when it was Matthew Slater and Tom Brady, I don't know that it would have worked. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. I got a problem with Danny. A little bit of a problem with Danny. I'm going to try to get him to change. That's next on DEV.
In October's Vermont Biz, we profile Green Mountain Power's president and CEO, Mary McClure, who is positioning the company to stand on the revolutionary edge of our energy future. Under McClure's leadership, GMP is transitioning from a traditional utility into a technology company. Vermont Biz focuses on travel and tourism with a look at vacationing in Vermont. The industry weathered this year's storms and looks forward to a brighter future, starting with fall foliage. Read to find out why many are bullish on this season's prospects. Our economic report on Bennington County shows all indications are optimistic. Despite shortages in housing and childcare and flooding over the summer, this community's spirit is undampened. We also introduce you to the friends who started a business as they searched for a way to connect with their loved ones diagnosed with dementia. Their solution? It's all in the cards. All this and more is in the October issue of Vermont Biz. Serious business, serious news. For a subscription, call 802-863-8038 or go to vermontbiz.com.
If your winter tires are tired, poor, or otherwise not ready to face this winter, bring your vehicle to us at Waterbury Service Center. We have the right tires for winters, studded, all season. From tiny hybrids to 3/4 ton trucks. We wash, clean, mount, and balance your tires. Stop in today and find the tires you need and the service you deserve. We're Waterbury Service Center, helping you through another long winter. Full service repair right on Main Street in Waterbury. Thank you.
Vermonters know they can depend on WDEV day to day and in times of crisis. Paul Costello expresses his thoughts on the importance of WDEV.
WDEV, you guys stand for something, and you're like the heart and soul of community radio, and I love that, but, you really all have stepped up in such a great way.
WDEV, in service to the community for 92 years. FM 96.1 and AM 550. Streaming at WDEVradio.com.
Experience the heart of Vermont's history and culture at the Vermont Granite Museum's Granite Festival. Mark your calendar for Saturday, October 14th, and get ready for a day filled with hands-on activities, carving demonstrations, classic films, food, and live music. Best of all, this fantastic event is free thanks to the generous sponsorship of Community National Bank. The Vermont Granite Museum's Granite Festival, October 14th, a day of fun, history, and community events. 7 Jones Brothers Way, Barrie.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
This is David Goodman. Join me every Wednesday at 1 o'clock for the Vermont Conversation, brought to you by VTDigger.org, Vermont's nonprofit news source. I'll talk with national and local change makers from the worlds of politics, social and racial justice, science, education, and the environment who are having an impact on our daily lives. You can also hear the Vermont Conversation at VTDigger.org or sign up for our podcast. Join me and take part in the Vermont Conversation Wednesdays at 1 here on WDEV.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on this Thursday, WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Reminder, we're going to have playoff baseball tonight. It's going to start at 7:30. Braves-Phillies Game 4 from Philly, a rematch of Game 1. Spencer Strider pitching for Atlanta against Ranger Suarez, the lefty for Philly. If the Phillies win, they're on to the NLCS. If the Braves win, then it's on to Game 5, which would be Saturday. Danny, did you watch the Celtics preseason game last night?
I did.
Okay, I'm going to start calling you Mr. Preseason from now on. Are you okay with that nickname?
That's all right.
Okay. So we'll call you Mr. Preseason. I did not watch the game. I caught the highlights as usual. I will watch the season opener. I will watch the season. I was watching
Brady.
I was watching some of the Bruins last night. But I watched the Bruins last night, right? A game that actually mattered. I watched baseball and I watched the Bruins and I saw the Bruins win and I watched most of the third period and saw them win 3-1 and Pasternak's empty netter, et cetera. Nonetheless, this morning, I saw a tweet from some NBA insider, and it was of a great sequence by Kristaps Porzingis, right? Porzingis altered his shot, got the rebound, created the outlet pass, ran up the court, got the pass back, and then hit a three, right? Fascinating sequence in which he did everything. And it kind of shows the all-around versatility of Porzingis, right? Defensive ability, rebounding ability, outlet pass, runs the floor, hits the three. Really cool stuff. So I went to send like the highlight clip to you. Like I was going to tweet it. I was going to say like CC at, your name, which is Danny MC something else. And one, I could barely find you on social media, despite the fact that we follow each other. Two, when I did a deep dive on your social media profile on Twitter, you have your 7 followers. You don't have a profile picture.
I'm basically an egg on Twitter.
And you haven't tweeted since 2019. You're a big deal now. Like, you're the producer of this show. Can we get you to be a little more visible and active on social media, please?
Yeah, the profile picture would help.
Can we get you a profile picture, maybe a description that says, like, radio professional or Brady Farkas Show producer or WDEV radio, something like that? And can we start to build up Danny's follower count? Because I think, Danny, is the deeper we go into this show, like, trust me, I've been a producer before. I've been a producer who contributes before. The deeper we go into this show, the more people are going to like you. You're going to need, we want to build up your follower account to more than 7.
Do you know the only reason I made a Twitter? This is a great story.
Is to follow the Levitard show because you're in love with the Levitard show?
There is that, but this goes all the way back to high school. We had to follow something for extra credit for a French class. I didn't have a Twitter at that point. Some people did. And I made an account, hit a follow, and I got 5 extra points on a final exam.
So just by creating a Twitter account? Basically.
No, and following this, I think it was some foreign exchange thing.
That was like when I joined Facebook. I joined Facebook senior year of high school, so April of 2008. I had no interest in Facebook beforehand. Facebook had been around. It wasn't like Facebook was just invented, but like I didn't need one at that point. But I joined Facebook for the sole purpose of, like, it used to be it used to be a thing to join groups in Facebook. It still exists, but like it's not as popular now. Like you could join like all Celtics fans or all Red Sox fans. Like people just post things about the Celtics or the Red Sox, whatever. Well, I joined groups that were like Oswego State class of 2008 or class of 2012, which is when I graduated. So it was like all these groups for incoming freshmen. And it was for you to, just kind of put names to faces and meet people and like kind of create some relationships before you ever got to campus. And like, these people would post like, hey, I'm living in this dorm building. Okay, well, hey, I'm going to live in that dorm building too. Now I'll know to look out for you. And like, I went through these groups and I was like, okay, anyone who has something to do with baseball, I was like, okay, maybe I'll strike up a friendship with them. So like I was messaging people I never met, like, hey, we're in this group together. You're going to Oswego. I see you like baseball. Like, are you playing baseball there? And one guy was like, yeah, I am. So like I met some of my teammates before I ever met my teammates. And another guy would say like, hey, yeah, like I love baseball. I play in high school. I play here. I play right field, but I'm not playing on the team, but I'm living in this building that you're living in. We can, play catch outside the building sometimes. So like, it was a little weird. It's like, making friends with these people on social media. But that was the initial reason that I joined Facebook back in 2008 was to make friends with people who were going to Oswego.
The good old days of Facebook.
Can we get you a real profile picture, please?
Yeah, we can start there.
Okay, let's start there. Can we get you a picture of you in your radio element? Can we get a picture of you in the studio
with headphones on? Yeah, we can.
Yes,
do that. Yeah.
With headphones on.
Okay.
What do we want your description to be? Right now, your description says "not now."
Yep, I just copied and pasted what it said when signing up. Yeah, literally, it said "not now." You could skip, and I just wrote, "All right, that's the one I'm choosing."
Well, I think you should, WDEV radio. Broadcast engineer or broadcast producer, producer of the Brady Farkas show, weekdays 5:30 to 7. That would be a nice place to start. Doesn't have to be like that, but it would be a nice place to start.
I'll do it only if you put stud muffin in your bio.
People won't get it, right? Like your favorite line from Levitard is you don't get the show.
You don't get the show.
So, you don't get it. You have to go. If you're missing the stud muffin reference, I encourage you to the podcast channel today. So that's on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and WDEVradio.com. Maybe you could also put Seinfeld connoisseur in your profile picture. You're watching Seinfeld from the beginning, but you've never seen it all the way through, right?
I've never seen every episode like you. Have you seen every episode like 14 times? Are you that obsessed?
Yes.
Wow.
Now, I got less obsessed with Seinfeld in the last couple of years. I've still seen every episode 14 times. I wrote my honors thesis in college on Seinfeld. I can still quote ad nauseum all the big episodes that matter, and I can tell you what's going to happen in every episode. But I got really into the Big Bang Theory when that came out. That has become kind of my sitcom of choice in the last decade. Now, Big Bang Theory started like 15 years ago or whatever, but now it's all over the place on reruns. So Seinfeld's a little less popular on reruns now. Big Bang Theory is more popular, so I'll see that. And then Friends is on late at night, which I will watch when I go to bed or whatever. So I just don't see Seinfeld as much anymore. But Seinfeld is on now on like Comedy Central,
it's
like
on
all
Netflix.
day. Oh, wait, I don't have Netflix, actually. So I will, I'll watch Seinfeld when it's on, but it's less part of my life than it was. So you're watching it from the start. How deep into it are you?
I think I'm like season 4, midway through season 4.
Okay. That's when it's going to get really good.
It's already good, I thought.
This has been my thought on Seinfeld forever. And maybe you'll feel this way once you get through all of it. Seasons 1 through 3, I thought were very average. There were some very good episodes, but I thought there were some episodes that really were kind of terrible in seasons 1 through 3, right? Season 1, I think the pilot's very good. Season 3, where it's called The Alternate Side, where Jerry gets the rental car, and it's called, you know how to take the reservation, you just don't know how to hold the reservation.
Oh, yeah, I saw that episode. Yep.
Yeah, that's season 3, episode 11.
Wow.
Yeah, and Kramer's got the line in the Woody Allen movie, "These pretzels are making me thirsty." So that's a classic episode. Season 4, it starts to get really good. Seasons 4 through 7, there are some absolute classics in there like that, and that is like almost every episode to me is a hit. Seasons 8 and 9, kind of hit or miss. The finale, when you get to it, hit or miss. but the seasons 4 through 7, you are entering the true sweet spot.
What's funny is you were talking about some episode where they're running around a parking garage.
Yes.
And that very night I was watching that episode in order.
Where they go to the mall and they're buying a present and they lose their spot in the parking garage and they can't find it. And they're parked in purple 23, but they had forgotten where they were parked in the parking garage. And the whole episode is about them lost in the parking garage. And Jerry gets arrested for public urination. George the same.
Kramer's running around with a air conditioner.
Yes, that's what they have bought was an air conditioner. I was pretty positive of that, but I didn't say it.
Elaine has a goldfish.
She has a goldfish. Yes, she's walking around trying to keep the goldfish alive. She goes to the two weightlifter guys. She goes to the two girls in the multicolored clothing. So yes, so you're about to get to the really good stuff, though.
I can't wait.
You are about to get. Are you watching an episode a night? Like can we start doing Seinfeld reviews with you?
Give or take, yeah, an episode a night, yeah.
All right, let's watch one tonight. We'll talk about what you watch tomorrow.
All right, we'll do that.
All right, maybe we'll do the daily Seinfeld review with Danny. Once he gets his Twitter account, he can put out his thoughts on social media as well. That's going to do it for us. I told you, we're going to have some fun today. We did a lot of sports. We had some fun as well. We'll get back into a lot of NFL stuff tomorrow, our 6-pack of NFL questions. Phil Perry's going to stop by from NBC Sports Boston. We'll talk to him at about 5:45 again. And we'll be off and running, getting ready for Patriots and Raiders. Obviously, it's a must-win. Who's it a bigger win for? Who needs it more, Belichick or Mac? We'll talk about that tomorrow as well. Danny, there's no Celtics basketball for you tonight, I don't think, right?
I'll have to watch another preseason game.
Yeah, Mr. Preseason, get back at it. So there you go. Brady Farkas Show back at it tomorrow. Thanks to Buster. We'll see you tomorrow on DEV.
The 18th annual Big Dog Daddy urine clearance show is on fire at Lamoille Valley Ford.